just talk some business. Hope we're spending some money this weekend as you all relax out there. Let's start with the Asian markets. Bearish activity today on the Asian markets. Looks like they're a bit tepid ahead of what they're expecting to hear from Jackson Hole. For Japan, the Nikkei 225 up by 48 basis points, but in China, in Kospi, in Korea, where the Kospi is, the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, and the S&P SX 200 all pointing downwards. We got some inflation data from Japan. We'll get to that in a moment. But Kazuo Ueda, governor of the Bank of Japan, he was speaking to Parliament early yesterday, defending the rates hike that took place. That everyone was saying caused markets to fall into an upheaval or go into an upheaval. He says no, that it's more about volatility in global markets. He said that the Bank of Japan will continue to raise rates depending on market fundamentals. And speaking of those market fundamentals, we did get July inflation figures in Japan. So for Japan, they call it there's core consumer, core CPI, and then core. So core CPI coming in at 2.7% in July. The forecast was bang on from economists that were surveyed. June was 2.6. Core inflation, I think, core consumer price index removes volatile food. Core takes out energy as well. That was at 1.9%. So as inflation continues to rise in Japan, we should expect that the monetary policy folks there will hike rates. The Japanese yen did appreciate on his comments and also on inflation rising. But of course, there's a cost of living aspect to that. There have been wage negotiations in Japan as well. So let's get to Jerome Powell. Later on today, we'll be hearing from him in Wyoming at the Jackson Hole discussion, where everyone is expecting him to shed some more light on the FOMC minutes that were released day before yesterday. That's the Federal Open Market Committee, which essentially said that we should expect a rate hike in September. The question now is it going to be 50 basis points or is it going to be 25? I think it will be 25. 50 might be a little too much. And I think he's going to talk about how the non-farm payrolls came under expectations and whether or not they missed the ball by looking too much at inflation and not looking at the labor market. Come to Nigeria, and that story that Vimbai did talk about, which is, of course, in today's This Day newspaper, Nigeria's newspaper of record. So Oando finally completing the acquisition of Nigeria Agip Oil Company to the tune of about $783 million. I did mention what it is that they're going to get from the deal in terms of, assets, right? As far as the infrastructure, so pipelines. If we take a look at what they're going to be getting from that particular deal, so pipeline infrastructure, also their oil blocks, the increase in oil reserves. So it's a upstream and downstream play for Oando. And I mentioned the stock. If you take a look at the performance of the stock yesterday, it was one of the highest gainers on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, on the NGX. It closed at 43.50, a 10% gain there. The 1 month return, I mean, look at these numbers, 124%, 3 month return, 276. Year to date, the stock price has absolutely skyrocketed, 264% there. We go to Bolts. This Nigeria, South Africa. I actually did not believe this story when I first heard it. So apparently, trolls in South Africa were ordering rides in Nigeria and then canceling them. And then a number of Nigerians were retaliating and actually doing the same thing. I mean, I honestly thought this was a ridiculous thing. It turned out to be true because we actually have the country manager for Bolts on the Global Business Reports at 11 o'clock. They're actually going to be coming on here. Here's a quote from a driver in South Africa who actually testified that he was speaking to, I think it was Tech Cabal. And here's what he said. He said, I drove from Cape Town to Stellenbosch to pick up a customer only to realize it was a fake request. That's almost 50 kilometers worth of fuel gone because of internet jokes. So what Bolt has done is to block the accounts of the individuals that were involved in this. It was all over, so Twitter yesterday where some Nigerians were saying, okay, I'll do this. So your account has now been blocked because you were, be acting like a troll. Impacting, fuel prices. South Africa has its own cost of living issues. We have the same here. We have fuel scarcity here. I didn't even think this was possible. I thought you had to, here in Nigeria, a ride-hailing driver will call you and make sure that they know where you're going before they confirm. So again, tune into the Global Business Report at 11:15. We'll have the country manager for Bolt coming to talk to us. And then the SEC. The Nigerian Security Exchange Commission, they did put out a tweet saying that they are going to be looking to license cryptocurrency exchanges. So the commission is set to license crypto exchanges in Nigeria. They talked about details. So we have a cryptocurrency trader joining us from Abuja on the Global Business Report. We'll be talking about that. And we also have an analyst coming to talk, an oil and gas analyst to talk about Oando as well. Finally, look. Tech, right? It's Friday, so we focus a lot on tech. Artificial, I haven't talked about AI in a while. I see the comments in YouTube saying Rotus AI. So here's your AI. Artists were brought back to life. So it was amazing stuff. They put them on a runway. Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, Whitney Houston, I think Bob Marley, and Prince. So take a look. It's pretty incredible stuff what AI is doing. That's our business updates for today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, pretty incredible stuff. We just have fun memories of those people again. But I want to go back to SEC. I mean, you see, again, I talk about culture a lot. When we told the CBN and other regulators that cryptocurrency was the future in this country, I remember the first outlay, ban, ban, ban. Like, what we don't know, we are so quick to ban. We don't even say, let's set up a regulatory sandbox to be able to understand this. I remember working on radio stations back in the days, and they told us, do not take any life appearance that had anything crypto in it. I'm sure you remember those stories too.
Yep.
But in the end, now they've seen it's the future.
Well, you mean the CBN of the last administration, though, right? Because that was the last.
No, not even that's way back in the past.
Yeah.
So, but it's one institution. You can say people have changed, but it's one institution. I am just saying we should be more open-minded. Now that we have seen it's the future, as a revenue stream for it, it's no longer affecting the rate of the naira to the dollar. Probably we can be more sensible about things like this.
Well, to be fair, in President Tinubu's manifesto, it is there. He did say cryptocurrencies are something that they want to look into.
But also, to be fair, it was in President Tinubu's administration we heard that it was cryptocurrency that was affecting the rate of the forex.
Well, that was the Binance thing, right?
So it was in his administration too.
And they're going to be looking to license these guys and get money from fees and so on.
Fees and all of that, and through taxes. And it was in administration too, they clamped down on it, and the Binance guy were locked up. So
that
to be
case
fair,
isn't even done yet.
It's still even, so what I'm just saying is, when you don't understand something, ask questions. The best way to ask questions, form a regulatory sandbox. Let us look at it critically. We can probably get one way and one step ahead. Just like the AI thing, I think, Mr. Bosu Tijani, one thing we should now do is set up a National Institute of AI, where we can also look at regulatory sandbox around AI. What can we use AI to do for national development? Set up this institute where people can get more skills on AI, because the frontier of AI will be us developing a lot around the AI ecosystem. In back Africa, most of the inventions or the research is around AI is still centered around your big boys in Silicon Valley. The Sam Altmans of this ones and co, OpenAI. Where can the next frontier come from? I believe it can come from a village in Damaturu. Set up a National AI Institute. It could be remotely run. It could be run in partnership with other endeavors and agencies. We had a conference on AI. Then let's accelerate it.
You need electricity. So that's the thing. That's why there's so much pressure now on the Ministry of Power to be able, because the whole issue around artificial intelligence and the GPUs, right? One, they're expensive. Two, they require a lot of electricity, right? So everything comes together.
Another question is, because I remember the day you were doing the AI conference and power went off, and you were talking about the electricity. This should also spur us to be able to invest in alternative sources of electricity.
Let me just say that. Sure. Rotus, I'm smiling because on that day when power went off, you said when I challenged the fact that we needed infrastructure to make it work, you said we can walk and chew gum at the same time. And so it's great that you're now talking about the need for power if we're going to play.
But the thing is that you say you want power does not mean that you wait and say, okay, until the power comes, I won't do anything on AI.
No one said that. I'm just saying that admitting the fact that there are a number of things that are hampered as a result of lack of infrastructure. We've seen it with the deployment of other innovations here in Nigeria. And the point I was actually going to talk about AI and the role, since we're evaluating the minister's 1 year in office, the performance, Dr. Bosun Tijani released his own score sheet. And alongside Mr. Olubunmi Tunji, he's also one of the star boys. And I'm not saying this sarcastically. I'm saying this factually. There are people who have actually worked and they've shown working. They're consistently coming out, showing what they've done. Of course, there's still criticisms around the telecom sector and the state of the telecom sector, the fact that we haven't gotten it right, NIN, and
hey, but guess what? Since you like talking about prices, you know what the telcos want to do? They want to raise prices because cost of living.
The same argument I made. If you're going to raise prices, let the service be great.
I'm
consistently saying that if you're going to raise, justify it. I don't think the challenge for a number of Nigerians is the amount of money they pay. If they are paying, let it work. It's like the band A now, even though some people are complaining that they're now paying higher electricity tariff, but they're getting the power. That's what we want. So talking about AI, I just saw that the Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, a foundation, is looking to have the first AI development center in Abuja. We often talk about, fantastic. Talk about people, private sector. So the private sector must also see value. Zenith Bank has also consistently had their technology conference. So a number of people, because they're going to have to deploy technology to whether it's banking, it's the military. So we have to think seriously about it. And if we're going to think seriously about it, we must invest heavily in it. And also education, catching them young. We have people, like what Rufai was saying, if we can include our curriculum, we have young people coding already, using technology. So if we can invest in that, the world has moved forward. We can play catch up.
We can invest using money from where?
Everything
from the fuel subsidies of 6.8.
You have finished spending the subsidy money on Monday.
You have finished spending this money on Monday now.
Every solution is subsidy. How much is subsidy money?
6.8 trillion. You can take 6.8. You saw the NNPC numbers? 3 trillion in 2020.
How about you
take that money?
No,
education.
How about
AI? Hospitals,
roads,
Calabar, Lagos Road.
How about you start?
Remove the fuel subsidy and put that money elsewhere.
How about you start by removing the money the 4 trillion you're spending on the refinery to invest in AI?
Well, good point.
Right,
good point.
Thank you so much.